All right, so hopefully everybody's here testing the sound right now. And if anybody can hear me, if you can please let me know in the questions panel whether you are in Zoom or you are in YouTube. I want to make sure that I have this all correct here. All right, thank you, perfect circle. So I know this will be a bumpy start the first couple of days here. But we will get this, and this I think in the long run will be a lot better for getting everybody what they're looking for out of the platform here. So, perfect. So sounds good in YouTube. And, for today, unless, there's registries for, this being a specifically getting started webinar, we'll keep the format as we have done in the past. As we promote this to new signups for trade ideas. The idea is for us getting new signups in here to get some walkthroughs on some things. It'll become a little more basic and a little less open forum than we've done in the past, but I don't see that happening for now. So we'll stick with what we've been doing for the moment. All right. And, I'll be, you'll have options. I'll be here on YouTube. I'll also be in the Zoom as well. So, like I said, there's a few kinks for us to work out. We're gonna get those worked out. And we'll hammer that all the way together. So, but for now, it looks like we will go our traditional route for today. We'll leave this open forum here. And like I said, I'm watching the YouTube side and I'm watching the Zoom side of things for the chats here, folks. So we've got options. We're doing options here for everybody. Like I said, if everybody can bear with me on these while I work out the kinks here. I am not a tech person, so it's kind of left to my own device to do a lot of this stuff. But, fire those questions away. What's happening? What are we looking at? Not much has changed for me since I was with you folks for that odd half an hour where my sound went crazy in the YouTube stream earlier today, filling in for Jamie on the second half. All right, so this is kind of neat. I can see who's in the Zoom call specifically instead of it just telling me viewers. Very interesting stuff. So again, we leave it open forum today. Like I said, I don't believe we're not pushing this out to our new signups yet. So like I said, we'll keep this the way things have been for now until that happens. Tilray jumping out here. Swinging P10. Yeah, man, kind of killed me today with that that meeting that I had. I'm not sure what you mean by just the option that I said. Are you referring to, where I'm broadcasting, where you can come and join me from? I mean, I like this P10 chart very much, but just wasn't able to. I wasn't able to trade this morning. That would have been nice grabbing that on that 1550 break and having, sitting here 12 cents above that, looking, it's a nice looking pennant right here. And other than that, like I said, I'm not, wow, I'm seeing YouTube is way behind on this broadcast. All right, I'm gonna have to look into a few of these things. Yeah, it's got to be at least a 20-second delay, it looks like. So this is something that popped up on a race of mine earlier today when I was in another meeting, but I happened to still have the races open. What's got me interested in this farm machinery and equipment manufacturing, and we've seen how a lot of these agriculture stocks have been doing the last couple of weeks. And so this thing had some massive volume pour into it, and it's still got, compared to what it's normally doing, still got some pretty good volume that's headed into it. So I threw it on my like list, and I'll keep an eye on it moving forward here and see what happens. And like I said, I've got the panels here of the chats open on both sides. So if anybody's in the Zoom side, they can hit me in the chat just to see if that's working. I see we've got Al, Lou, Michael, and Mike in Zoom. And if anybody wants to switch over to Zoom, let's see, got a way to invite. So if anybody wants to switch over to Zoom instead, there's the link again for Zoom. So JNPR, another one. I'm not convinced to put money to work long-term swing. Well, I say long-term. Long-term swing trading for me is a couple of days. Y10, what a beautiful move here this is having today. So again, these agricultural stocks, very worth keeping an eye on. There's Y10 is one. Don't go chasing these. Obviously, now there's moves that have been made. But RKDA, I mean, this thing just keeps going. Once it crossed this dollar line here, we've had some wobbly days, but when you're swing trading, you gotta be able to take those moves like that. So Tilray, a lot of volume coming in, especially on the options. It looks like really pouring in. Wonder if they must have had news, I'm guessing. All right, so I see people filtering in and out of the Zoom side of things here too. So yeah, a little bumpy on some of this, but I think this will overall be for the better, especially when I can get this all smoothed out on my side here. If there's anything you folks want to look at, we have a question on. I know who my normal crew is, more or less, that's in here. So for right now, I'm going to share a link. I think maybe work on something on our education page where you'll be able to find a link there or click something to get the link emailed to you. The idea behind this is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, this be a webinar for our newest signups to come in and really for me to really hit the basics with them on the software. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to keep it the same as what I've always done with, more of an open forum and not that I have content prepared for these necessarily, but kind of a syllabus in these when we start giving these as a link to new signups in the sign up in the welcome email. But for right now, I'll come into Barry's stream and share a link there, and we'll work it like that for now. So let's see. So I'm just checking on my end and the Zoom side of things. So yeah, I will WN. Yep. So I will drop links in for now. You could also always email into info at. I'm not sure if the link is going to be the same for each webinar. If it generates that's what I'm looking into now. If it's a different link for each webinar. Okay, I think it might be the same link actually for each webinar is how it's going to work. Like I said, all this a little bit new, but I think in the end it'll be better. Certainly be better for you folks if there's just, 10, 15, 20 people popping in here. Maybe we can open this up and be even a little more personable on the Zoom side of things here. So, all right, very good. Some progress being made with the Trader's Eye channel that Andy is working on. And, me and Steve and a few of the other traders are contributing symbols to. Some talks of morning webinars now for some swing trading curation from us. So, different person each day coming in. Well, I don't know, it'll be a different person each day. I think maybe Steve and Andy will be handling a bit of it, but some more kind of for those that are really looking for that extra guidance essentially on what we're looking at specifically for ideas and swing trades kind of early in the day. I think we have something that's going to be coming a little bit more of the live information coming at you folks with some live trading going on. It goes back to what Barry trades can be very hard for people to follow along with, and people aren't trying to get involved in stocks like that. They want to be in some slower rollers, some things like that. So all coming down the pipeline. So, we're shaking things up a little bit to get you all a better experience. So again, a lot of times these things like this are, working on and then go full speed 100%. So like I said, all kind of in the works. When I get this tightened up as well, we will, we'll see how we're doing that as far as the as far as that webinar goes, because it'll be something different than a live YouTube broadcast. Because we don't want to, what we don't want to do is we want to leave it for subscribers of Trade Ideas when we're going to be doing, that kind of curated content and going over what we're trading, what we might be entering live right with you folks, kind of thing there. So we'll be leaving that, like I said, a little more in-house for people that are paying to be here, instead of just broadcasting that to the world. If that channel does anything like it's done over the last 5 trading days, I think it could be some really good stuff going on there. Keep wanting to be interested in this stock. It's a lithium stock. It's had some volume action in it, some options action in it recently. But, when you're under $10, it's just hard sometimes. It's a new issue though, EVs, they're up and coming, that's for sure, one way or the other. So I think something I don't know if doing so many of these broadcasts now. I don't know if I was sharing with you folks yesterday or if it was today. These here races, you don't need the top list open for them. You can edit them right here. So you can come in and you can go to configure and you can reconfigure the top list of the race once you've done the original top list and started the race, and then of course reconfigure the race itself. Interesting. I wonder if I mute my mic in Zoom, does it mute it in? I just once in a while I sneak a yawn in there and I mute myself. So I don't know if it'll just mute me on the Zoom side or not. I don't want to hit anybody with a yawn. This thing's still racing here. Man, this almost has me wanting to take a piece home if it wasn't up so much already today. I told myself I wasn't going to make any trades. ADM, yeah. Yeah, Steve's, look, he had a tough go at it for most of last year at the trade of the weeks. It was always just, one step off on a lot of it. Things would get stopped out and then work a week later on him, unfortunately. And so far this year, we're approaching 3 full months and he's really killed it again this year so far in the trade of the week. So, we'll see. Moving forward here. I'm about to get stopped out on this position here. I really mismanaged it yesterday. Well, really this morning more than anything else. I was stuck in a meeting. I should have put a stop loss in after the market opened, but I didn't. HUSA. I got it earlier yesterday. And made a nice move after market yesterday. And I sold some. But I think it's time to exit. I was looking at the low back here for my stop, actually. The 550 range, give or take, but I don't think I want to let it get down there. Wonder what oil is doing. What's my friend oil doing? Yeah, so oil was at the top of the list today and it's really moved off. I don't even see it up here at all anywhere. There's XOP. So XOP still looks strong today. But I think I'm more attached to oil with this guy. And natural gas. Natural gas looks good. Where did USO go? There it goes. That's what happened. So USO not looking so hot. Oil not looking so hot. These two ETFs here. And all the cannabis stocks are going. There's ACB. There's Cron. Look at that. Do they just do they say it cures corona? I have to look. I hate looking at the news, but there we go. Marijuana legalization bill heads to the House for a vote. So it's on, not even heads there. It's scheduled for a vote. So here we go. This is going to be a sell the news, though. Remember, we don't know how they'll vote, but here we go. You know, this is all we've got right now. Here, we could read the full article. Seeking Alpha. So here we go. I don't know if it's actually going to give it to me or not. They're going to reject me. See if I can find it somewhere else. All right, so that's what we got. You're an awfully silent bunch on me here. SJB, nope, nothing going on there. So all right, let's do this. I haven't gone through my evening scan in a long time. Let's bring that up and let's go through a few of these charts here and see if there's anything interesting moving forward going into tomorrow. So AGRI, it's up bigly, but it's had some big interest in it. We can see, you know, some more interest coming in it after the volume ticked down from here. So we've had this move and we've held that move. Not going to be interesting for me, growing systems. All right. It never hurts to take that money when it's on the plate. So all right, JP. I'm gonna go with JP. I see your name's See what your name is in there in Zoom. So good. First off, welcome. Good to know that the Zoom chat's working there. It's a tough thing trying to share size properly and stick a stop with that. I think one of the issues you have to look at is the choppiness of the overall market, and this is what happened with, the trade of the week last year. We kept having these, this nice trending move and then this pullback and this nice trending move and a pullback. And then it got really sloppy. And at the end of the year is when it got really tough. Earlier in the year, actually, Steve had a little better. I think this is the way it went last year. Early in the year, he had a tough go with this choppiness here. All right. And then when we started to trend more, it was okay through some of the spring and summer. And then once we moved towards the fall and we started getting this mess in here and all this stuff in here, that's when it got really, really tough on us in this. So, that I'd say pay attention to how pegged, JP, your stocks are to the indexes. All right. If your stock isn't really trading alpha from the index or from the underlying ETF it may be a part of, that's what you're going to really want to look at. That's what I would suggest to you, JP, is taking a look at that, how interesting it is versus the rest of the market that it's a part of. And if there's alpha towards that. That's what you're really going to want to look at. EGRI going up so much because it's a chase for me now. That's why. So these are the things that I'd look at here as a day trading mechanism. If it's flying tomorrow and it's got volume, I'll look at it as a day trading mechanism, but not as a swing trade right now. And for these reasons here, I'll throw it out like this. All right, so we've got this going on here. We've got rejected up here. That is not a coincidence that got rejected right there. All right. Number one. Number two, where do I share size based on? Do we have some support maybe down here? If I'm wrong, did I stick a stop down here? The stop has to make sense for me. And I'm not willing to put $2 to risk on a $4 stock that, where's it going to go? Very hard to predict where this is. It's impossible to predict anything, but it's hard to put a reasonable target on this right now. 11 million in the float. There's a lot of speculation around what's going on with agriculture and fertilizer and all those things like that. So I don't like the risk reward that my eye sees here. I mean, I could bump this up, I guess, and I could put maybe a $4 stop on it. An 80-cent stop on a swing trade isn't terrible to me. Given this, there's just something in the setup that's just not for me to take it as a swing trade right now. That's all. And obviously with a few minutes, I only noticed this now. So with a few minutes left to the market to go, obviously I'm not day trading it right now. And then, so that was for Peter and YouTube. And then back to you, JP, in Zoom. Keep this in mind too. So for example, we look at this and this has got, this nice relative volume here, just to use as an example here on this. All right. And so we can see this thing has got some crazy volume that's come into it. All right. And it seems to really kind of be doing its own thing here versus the overall market. Here's the SPY on a 15-minute chart, and they are not related. So that's, what I'm looking at for that. Just as a prime example. Another one here. Let's see if I can find a good example. So GSK, this seems to be really pegged to what the market's doing overall. So let me bring over a SPY daily chart. All right. And so, let's look at, zoom in this a little bit more. So we're kind of lining up dates. So here, we've got, February is lined up with this. And, look, we were hanging out up here and we were okay and kind of topping out. And you can kind of see the same stuff on the charts here. And then, move down, we moved down and we had a bounce, we had a bounce. So, GSK, what I'm seeing there is that it's really kind of tied to what the overall market's doing. So if the market's not moving, this isn't moving. Now, there's no way to know if or when it's going to become unpegged from the market. At any stock will do it at any point, especially legacy stocks that have been around for so long. But the idea of what I'm really getting at behind this is that when we're entering trades, especially swing trades, we have to consider what's the market conditions and what's the condition of this stock to the market. So that's where I'm looking at there. Now, back to AGRI, we can play devil's advocate here. And let's zoom way in, and then let's do this, all right? We could say, let's even give ourselves an extra day of data. Now, let's say that I saw this big move here, and then I see it's held some of it. And then I saw this happen here. And I could say to myself now, hindsight looking back, on this day here, I start to get some better defined risk levels, all right? And so we closed here just under 4, all right? And now I'm looking at maybe a 350 stop, give or take. Maybe I could even widen it out to the top of the shadow up here. We could say 340. And so had I been, seen this through here and I said, boy, in a $4 break tomorrow, the next day, this might look good. And that sets up for good risk reward because I'm looking at an entry around $4. I'm looking at a 60-cent stop, all right? And I'm looking at a possible dollar plus move up over because that's where I'm looking at for my risk to reward here. I could get back up over this, right? And then moving forward, as we went forward, we can see didn't work out. I'd have got stopped out, right? But that's the idea behind when I'm trying to find a trade setup, all right? Especially a swing trade setup. Unfortunately, using that shadow wasn't going to work. And this is where it comes. Do you want to use the shadows of the candles or do you want to use the body of the candle? If I had used the opening low, we never get stopped out, but I was risking a lot more and I never got over this $5. So that's where these things got to come in when we're making these swing decisions. What is that real risk to reward? The risk should always be the constant. This can never change. The downside risk can never change. The upside reward, that's tentative, all right? If, for example, I got in, let's just pretend, hypothetically, I got in, that was my stop. I never actually got stopped out, all right? So I got in on this $4 break here, let's just say that day, and I held here, and I held this pain, 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 and I held this pain. You better believe that on a day like today, when I saw this line coming up here, not getting through that, I'd have been probably selling somewhere around in these areas in here, all right? It's a very specific case, but this is kind of the thought process that has to go on behind what we're doing, when we're considering swing entries. And now this is a tough one because look, this thing has no interest. Nobody's interested in it whatsoever. You've got this spike back here for whatever reason, all right? And then nobody's been interested in the stock until agriculture stocks a couple of weeks ago started getting a little nutty here. And the reason why agricultural stocks are getting nutty is because you got all this fertilizer that comes out of Russia and Ukraine, apparently, and they provide X amount of wheat around the world and other agricultural necessities. And so becomes these rumor things about, what's going to happen to these supply chains and things like that. And we have to look for alternative ways. And, these are the knee-jerk reactions that happen in the stock market. Would you ever use the race at the start of the market open on ETFs to see what sectors starting out strong or weak? Yes, I haven't. Jamie has actually done it in the past and seen some interesting stuff out of that. And that would be easy, taking a top list that has some sectors in it and just running it as a race and then deciding how you want to, if you want to run it on maybe relative volume or something like that. But you could take a real simple, this is an ETF list that I've created here. And so this scan only looks at the ETFs that I've told it to. And that might be a way to find some pack leaders in that sense with those ETFs. Okay, so interesting. I think YouTube is way behind and Zoom is right up to speed live with me. Interesting. So what do you look for when figuring out your stop on a swing trade? Mostly I like pivot lines, and you can see now I've removed indicators off my chart. The only indicator left on my chart now in the price action of the chart is a position as a period low of 20 days. That probably might come off too. But I do like that. But I'm mostly looking at the candles and deciding where's price action hanging around and where does it look like I'm wrong if price action breaks below a certain candle. So let's go through a few of these and try to find, let's try to find quality names to work off of with this. Okay, so this has earnings this morning. All right. We're in this big downtrend. We've been in an uptrend coming into the earnings. But, you know, up 26% today. I can't get excited about getting into a swing position that's up 26% today alone. We're not going to mess with the pot stocks. SGLY. There's not enough data for me to mess around with this. I mean, and again, you know, it's closed at up around 11. And where's the next price action? Down here below 9, you know, risking $2 for me, it doesn't make sense. Where's the red line? What red line? These orange lines, I just drew these on there. Peter, I drew that on there. So I'm not coming across anything, you know, these are all chases right now. You know, again, how do I get behind a swing position of something like this? Bound to find a decent setup, right? Maybe 9% today, broke 14. Let's draw some lines on here. I think I even like that better, actually. So what I'm doing is, you know, I'm game planning here. If, for example, tomorrow I want to enter a position, how am I gonna decide on this position? So, you know, the first thing I do is look left and I start drawing some lines to see some support and resistance. And the reason I drew the line that I just drew here at the top is I want to look at just the recent resistance that just happened. And does that coincide with any other resistance? And not really. So now, you know, we're looking at somewhere around here is this 1370 line. I could start to say I'm wrong here off this move. All right. We might have some room, possibly up to the 17 line. All right. We can even be more conservative with our target too, our tentative target. Now we can dial into the chart a little bit more. We've got some stuff to work with. All right. What I'm looking at with this bottom line is where would I stick a stop? And, you know, the reason why I'm looking at this is I'm looking at these levels back here as being prior resistance. All right. And now we busted through the resistance, came back below it, and we moved back up over that resistance. So if we can hold over this line, all right, we're looking at getting through there, and then, you know, we're looking up towards that $16 level. So now we're looking at maybe trying to make $2, give or take, and let's see where we want to go with risking. And so this is you know, the kind of chart work that I do. Now, obviously, depending on how long you've been doing this for and how fast your eyes are going to things, is gonna make a difference on how fast you get this work done going through scans in the evening or the early mornings. And so we could say, you know, we might be entering on a 1430 break, give or take, somewhere in here. And so then we're risking maybe around 60 cents, give or take, to try to make a dollar 50. So we're up a little bit more than a 2-to-1 ratio on that attempted. Now, again, this remains hard wherever we decide to stick our stop. That's never going to change. We get stopped out, we are wrong. It happens, right? This is tentative. If we get up to 15 bucks and we're struggling at 15 bucks, why wouldn't we just take that profit and walk away, or at least take half that profit and walk away instead of getting rejected at 15 and letting it come back down to our entry? All right. So the idea is you always want the R up here to be greater than the R down here. Ideally, you'd like 3-to-1, but if you can get like 2.5 to 1, all right, and you have an okay win rate of, let's say, 45 to 50% win rate, well, then you're going to be ahead of the game in general, all right, because you have a bigger reward to risk and you're right about half the amount of time. So if that kind of all makes sense here. No, you have to add the pivot lines to yourself there. I believe that's JP, right? Still chiming in with me on the, yep. You got to add those pivot lines yourself. We don't have pivot lines, unfortunately. The only place you'll find a pivot line is on new high alerts from an alert window. It'll draw the prior, the closest new high, or the closest previous high, I'm sorry, with a red line that's there. We don't have a smart technology to draw those in like that, unfortunately. So, but that's, this is what I do. Obviously I've been doing this for, a number of years. So I'm looking at this a lot quicker, and I'm trying to go slow enough to show you folks, but these are the things that we have to decide. We have to understand that, generally speaking, the best traders, the best swing traders, probably right, in between, I'll say 40 and 60% of the time, depending on who it is and what their strategy is and what their ratios are and risk reward and things like that. The better your risk to reward ratio is, or your reward to risk, however you want to term that, the better that is, the worse of a trader you can technically be. Meaning that if you're hitting, if you've got a 4 or 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio and you're coming close to your reward target a lot, you can win 25% of the time and still be crushing the market, actually. But you have to have devised yourself a system that works. What makes the official entry here? These are the things that you're going to have to decide on. Is volume going to factor in your entry? Is an RSI going to factor into your entry? Is it only price that matters into your entry? Those are the things you're going to have to come up with. But the big part of it is deciding, where am I wrong and how right do I need to be before I exit? All right, I'm glad you're finding that helpful, JP. And I'm sorry, and AE. For the people in Zoom, I'm going with just your initials here, because sometimes the name is the name's above where I can see. So you're asking about INTC. So we'll take a look at it and we'll see what we can think here. All right, so we've had a big move in it now. All right, this big downtrend. This is where I start to want to look at, how are you looking compared to the market? And so let's see, we're going to try to line this up the best we can. Is that 3-1? So not really trading with the market. 1, 3. The size of these charts is kind of throwing me off. I want to see where we're at. 1, 3. Here we're at the top of the market. 1, 3 here. Just trying to size up how much this is actually trading with the market. So yeah, this is pretty close to trading with the market. All right, so you're kind of pegged to the market here, basically. So if you can get the market on your side, you're obviously going to get some love. And then we're looking at this here again. Let's start to draw some lines. that comes right to my eye right away. And I drew it based on this candle and these candles here. I had no idea that that was going to line up with what just happened here. And then, we start to look at something like this here. And look at that. I drew that based on this here. And then we can draw and look at, do we want to be conservative here? Do we want to be bold and go here? We can split the difference. As 55 is going to be a whole number and certainly affect things. We don't want to go chasing a $3 move necessarily, especially, look at this move since last week here. We're up from 43 bucks and change all the way up to 51 bucks. So, that's a pretty sizable move. However, there are people that might have $8 stops. That's not in my plan. I don't, I won't stop size that big, but someone might say that that's a stop that they want. So someone might say, I'm seeing my risk down here. I'm wrong down here. And if we get positive price traction tomorrow, I want to be a part of this. That might be and they might be looking at something different for a target than I am. I feel like that's kind of very clear, and so that's a, a huge move down right there. We're talking about, an $8 move, $9 move down for, a $5 move up. So, this is never looking right for me for risk reward right now. But if we got some sideways action here for a couple of days, all right, and it doesn't leave the station without us, and this is the risk that we have to take. We have to understand these risks that this thing could leave the station without us, but it never gave us a risk reward setup we liked. I'm using a royal we because it's really me that I'm talking about. You have to decide what that looks like to you. Now, if you're deciding that the bottom of today's action is where your stop is, all right, now we're looking at, a $3 stop, all right, to try to make, $5, give or take here. All right, so we're looking at maybe a $3 stop to make that. So you have to decide, do you want that $3 stop? Do you want this? Just looking at this chart in general. And if we can push, positive price action tomorrow, do you want to participate in this stock in that sense? Right now, Timothy, what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to drop the Zoom links. I'll be coming and dropping the Zoom links into the YouTube chat periodically is what I'm going to end up doing for right now, Timothy. And then I'm going to see how we can get this out to users in a different way. So the other ways, you can give me an email, info@trade-ideas.com. So anybody can email there and say, hey, how can I get the Tuesday, Thursday Zoom webinar links from Chris? And I'll do that like that. And I'll put a general place for all of the Trade Ideas employees to be able to respond to those emails like that. I just have to coordinate that it's the same Zoom link each time, because if it is, once you get it once, you'll have that, you can save that Zoom link. You're not a member of Trade Ideas, Timothy? I mean, they're not going to be exclusive to Trade Ideas users, these webinars here. So you can still join them. Like I said, the focus of this going forward, Tuesdays and Thursdays, because the Zoom link for this is going to go out to everybody new that signs up for Trade Ideas. Everybody that signs up for Trade Ideas will get a welcome email. We're readjusting our whole onboarding process for anybody that's new. So Tuesdays and Thursdays will eventually become, surmising that it's a lot of new users that have no idea what they're doing with the software themselves. There'll be a lot of more software talk and the functions of the software, and not as much chart talk. At least at the beginning of them. We're kind of, a lot of this is us experimenting. What we're trying to do as a company is we have a lot of people sign up every month, and then we have a lot of them, well over a majority of them, unfortunately, leave us. We don't always get a reason, but the software can be complicated at first, and we're trying to uncomplicate the software, and that's what these webinars will be. Okay, yeah, so you are. So yeah, just give us an email in there, and I'm going to come into the YouTube for now. I'm going to be dropping the links a couple times throughout the day. I'm coordinating all of it now, or I'm in the process of coordinating that stuff now. And I'm going to try to get a more streamlined and automated way. Unfortunately, one of my issues is that I'm not a tech person. I'm very new to Zoom in general. I've attended plenty of Zoom meetings, but never hosted. And this is webinars through Zoom, not meetings. So I'm having to self-learn all this stuff. There isn't someone to kind of hold my hands with all this, unfortunately for me. So it's a little bit of a learning curve for us to do together. Right now, Mike C, I don't know what I've got people permission that they're allowed to do. I have to look into that. I'm considering opting in so that we can do that if things don't get out of hand right now, but these are also going to be recorded too. And because we want to be able to take clips from these. So I'll have to look into some of the permissions that I can do in this. I would like to get it so that we can do that. But my issue will be, if 150 people show up to these, because we have it set up so I can have up to 500 people in the Zoom meeting. If I've got 150 people in here and 40 people are trying to talk at once, it's going to be more to manage than possible. So it'll all be kind of feeling it out as we go forward. For all I know, no new signups even come to this, and we cancel the Zoom account and we go right back to the way I was doing things before also. So a lot of it's going to depend on our new signups and what they're going to do. And so, yeah, Timothy, I'm hoping by doing things like this, we can bring you back into the fold. We can bring anybody back into the fold. I don't think there'll really be cameras, Mike C. Just kind of realistically thinking about it. I don't see a need for it, to be honest, because I'm screen sharing, so you won't even be able to see anybody via their camera. I mean, I guess you can hit escape from full screen mode and then you'd be able to see them. But I don't see any real benefit to it. And I think most people are going to want to keep that anonymity anyways. Let's see. I just want to make sure I got everybody. Thanks. Clearly explain it. And so, to finish up on INTC here, do I think there'll be more upside moving it? I never think something's going to do something or not going to do something. What I'd say is I think about a plan. If someone said, you got to manage a trade for me in INTC over the next 5 days, what are you doing? Then I'd say, give me 1 day. I want to break above this and to not go back below it to see if I can get a nice entry in it. And I'm going to use this as my stop, and I'm going to use that as my tentative reward. And as we move up the chain, if it looks like we're going to not make it up to my tentative reward, I'm going to exit that right here as a happy winner. It kind of looks like a person, maybe giving the chart a hug. And that be that. But I never think a stock is going to do something. But there are things on this chart that I like. We've got this nice possible double bottom right here. That looks really nice. RSI is making a nice move up, but we're not all the way overbought yet. On the daily, we're looking at 68 and change. 70's overbought for some people, 75's overbought for some other people. So what if we get a day tomorrow and we're only up, I don't know, 30 or 40 cents tomorrow? That's not going to have the RSI, really going nuts on us. It's going to give us a chance to enter a position on this break of this line and maybe put us up into a swing position by a few cents. And now we're sitting comfortable above the stop. and into the money. And then if we could continue to work, so that's how my mind works. I never, I could throw predictions out there for anything, but my prediction's no different than anybody else's. If I go on camera, I'll definitely wear bunny slippers for you. I have to buy some, but definitely have to buy some. So that's going back to AE, and Zoom was asking whether I think it has more upside or not. I never think something's going to have some upside. I think the chart looks at a strong reversal right now to me. It's showing me a strong reversal. And if it had news today, which I do not watch the news. I just don't care about the news. I want price and volume. So what do I see here? I see we double bottomed. For sure, we can say that's a double bottom. We got through this line here, and we've even, we popped through it, and we went to test it here today, off the open. We didn't even test it. We left it right behind and ran right into this resistance here. And so if it were to give us a healthy shot at an entry, we'd like it. I don't have JP a scan that I can necessarily recommend for it. But we can look at things like position and consolidation, things like that for alert windows. So, I'd toss you towards looking at filters like range. All right, we have these different range filters you could play around with, and you can back engineer. Don't forget, we have the stocks like this page. The thing with the stocks like this page, stick to the filters that you wanted to get you into a stock, wanted you to find you a setup. Don't go crazy with all of them. So if you're not familiar with the stocks like this page, you can't go too far into it right now because I do have to wrap up in a few moments here. But our stocks like this page here, I'm going to bring that over. Did not work the way I wanted it to. So a way you can back it, but keep things simple when you're back engineering a scan. Don't overcomplicate this. But we can go to the stocks like this page. It doesn't have quite the history that our scans have, but we could put INTC in here. All right. And let's say we wanted to know what it was doing over, let's give it an hour period. Yesterday, let's go with noon yesterday. Let's go with noon 30 yesterday. All right. Now I put that into this page. All right. And I can go through and I can see every alert that it hit if I wanted to find it in an alert window. All right. During that hour period, it hit every one of these alerts were triggered. And here's what the filters look like over that hour, what the minimums and maximums were in all of them. And you could go through and select one or two, I'd say 3 filters max, because you don't want the scan to be so narrow to one stock that it'll never return you any other ideas. And I think that's what people get hung up on. It's like over optimizing a scan and the back testing. Sure, you optimized it great with 400 filters and you really narrowed it down. The equity curve is amazing for the past 64 days. But that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the next 64 days, right? That's, becomes over optimizing, over analyzing, things like that. And so, for example, we might look at a 120-minute range and we say, all right, it's only between these two numbers here in that 20-minute range, 120-minute range. But, I might want to catch some more ideas that are, have a bigger range than that, but it still looked good to me. And so I might opt to say, when I go to build the scan, I want it to be, let's say, in between 1.75 and 2.75. And then we can see what's returned to us through the scan itself and get a bigger picture of ideas that are coming through it, and then decide to hone in those numbers from there. So, but to give you, you take the filters that might interest you, whether it's a consecutive candle filter for consecutive days, or, let's look at maybe contraction. Let's see, where's our contraction stuff? Is that not in here? Might need to do that a different way. All right, I'm not seeing the consolidation in here. So might have to do that a different way, but we could use different position and range filters for sure. Oh, range contraction days. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. You know, you might find something like that in here. All right. So these kinds of different items that, you know, that we're looking for, you can back engineer the scan like that essentially is what you can do. But like I said, start broad and wide. Look at what's coming in and then look how you might be able to adjust those filters or take a filter away or add a new filter on a very basic scan to start with, trying to find the kind of setups that you're looking for. And that's what I would throw at you like that. So we can go as little as 5 minutes on the snapshot, as much as 60 minutes on that for you there, JP. And then the last thing that I'm going to leave with everybody with you here now is this. The stocks like this page is great, right? We can also create a stocks like this template for an alert window. All right. Here's one that Barry's created, and I'll share a link to it in both YouTube and Zoom. So let me first share this out, and then I'm going to go over it. And you don't even have to use this. I just want to give you this idea. So there it is in YouTube. Let's get into Zoom. All right. Now I'm going to load this. All right. What Barry did is he took an alert window. All right. And he came to the configure and he gave it a new high alert. You can give it multiple alerts if you want. All right. You can give it as many alerts as you want. Just know, you know, you got screen space and column limitations that are going to happen. All right. And then he went over to the windows. Then he went over and he searched for filters that he wanted. And all he did was start adding them as columns. So you see all these columns across the top are actually filters. But do any of these filters have values? If we come here, not a one of them has a value. So for example, we could come back and look at in the symbols list, take it off a single symbol and then put it back on single symbol so you can change the single symbol in it. All right. And so we can go INTC. All right. We press OK. And now we can go back in history yesterday. And we can see every time it made a new high and what its gap was, its earning date. But we can put the columns that we want in here instead and see every single thing that it did at an exact timestamp to back engineer any scan based on one chart. And like I said, don't over tighten things. You got to open it up so you can get a broad amount of ideas behind it. But this is just a template that Barry created with things that he's interested in. You're not going to probably, if you're looking for stuff that's swing trading, you're obviously not going to care about a 2-minute RSI. You could get rid of that column. You might not care about, I don't know, 1 minute change percent. All right. Get rid of that column. Bring in the columns that make sense to you in building a scan or what you think will make sense to you. And the thing is, the beauty of this is you can have a ton of columns in here. And maybe you're going to think a column is going to be relevant. And you're going to pull up the data and you're going to say, you know what? That column wasn't so relevant anymore. All right. And so nothing overly complicated here. We can do this with anything. And then you could also do this. Look, if you came to the configure, you can add any of these selected alerts in here. You want new high, you want a new low. Do you want to look at, you know, my big one, I like this cross resistance. You know, I like this non-confirmed crossed above resistance. I can add that alert. All right. Now I can have multiple alerts in here. Right. So what other alerts do we want? You know, if you're someone that's into standard deviation, all right, we can add this alert. All right. Now I'm going to get rid of a few columns here to mess around with this and just show you a few things. All right. I don't care about gap bars. I want to, I want to limit this so you can see some stuff on my screen here. I don't care about the change 1 minute %. All right. Now I want this quality here. All right. Let's see what this is going to look like real quick. And so in the quality column, we can see, new high 40 days. All right. This was a new high for 40 days. All right. Going all the way back. We're taking out a 40-day new high. All right. For that new high. All right. And when we come across the resistance, it was looking back 0.75 trading hours to find this resistance that it crossed right here. That's where the algorithm decided 0.75 hours back is where we decided the resistance was. And this is the real fancy stuff that we can get into with this software here. All right. Rome isn't built in a day. That's kind of how this all goes. So, you can go through these things. That's what the quality column's there for. Look, did I add standard deviation in this? Did I have a standard deviation break? I can't even remember. No, I didn't add it. Let's get that in here. Let's just run this one more time to show you how this stuff works. So was there a standard deviation break in there yesterday? I don't know. We're going to find out right now. If there was one, we're going to get that alert. Not a standard deviation break yesterday. Let's look at today. Not finding one here. Oh, standard deviation breakdown. Let's go the other way. Standard deviation breakout. Add that alert. That's what I really wanted to do. Because standard deviation, is a big thing for a lot of traders. There we go. Here was our standard deviation breakout. All right. And we can come back over the quality and you can mess with these columns. Look, you can take a column and drag it, where's it going to be more important to you? Do you want this quality over here to tell you these things? Look, it's looking 1.75 hours back to get that alert. It's looking back 1.5 hours to get this alert. So, we can see in this here in the configure, some of these alerts have filters attached to them as well. You have to decide, do I want to use the filter or do I want the algorithm to just look back and decide for me where it's looking at with these? And these are also all on the help page. If we go right click and help, the first thing it'll do is take us to the definition of the actual alert. All right. So this is what the alert's looking for. And then if we come down here on the help page, we will come to the alert specific filters, not just the window specific filters, but we have alert specific filters. Eventually I will get there. Here we go. Alert specific filters. So how do these, how does these fields work over here? Here's how they work. Here's a description of how this works for these different fields that are in here, every one of them. All right. And, come right across the crossed above resistance filters that I'm looking at, or cross below support filters. All right. All these items that are in here. Here's how the standard deviation works. All right. How the filter of the alert actually works. All right. So every single one of these. So you've always got your homework with trade ideas ahead of you. All right. So I hope this was all very informational for you all. Like I said, I appreciate everybody's patience with me moving forward as we kind of migrate this Tuesday, Thursdays to this kind of format here on Zoom. I will still leave it on YouTube, of course. We're going to work on streamlining to get you folks, that are already in the YouTube and want to stay there over to this stream. There will be some kind of migration because I can't stream the same key that Barry's streaming. But I welcome everybody over to Zoom as well. And then I'm going to see what I can do about integrating the Zoom as well to Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays will remain a very open forum. We did do an open forum here today, obviously. But like I said, Tuesdays and Thursdays if new signups for trade ideas are coming into this getting started webinar, will take a different feel than what we've been used to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I will wrap up with that. Hopefully that, gave some good insight, some ideas, and software function for everybody as well here. So again, I thank you all very much. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share here. All right. And we're going to shut down the webinar. So we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back to a regular schedule tomorrow. I don't think I'll have anything integrated with Zoom tomorrow, so don't count on it. If I do, I will be into both the traders room for Barry for a few moments here and there, and on the YouTube side to let you folks know those links. And again, any other questions with any of this moving forward, info@trade-ideas.com. All right, you can get me there, and that's how we'll do that. So again, I thank you all very, very kindly for being in here, and we will catch you tomorrow. Have a great Thursday evening, or as I like to call it,